Well, we start our tractor parade, or sorry, steam parade, with the Marshall Agricultural Challenger from 1911. Belongs to Mr. Phillips of Newport. The agricultural engine, of course, probably better known as general purpose engine, used for all sorts of haulage, powering up thrashing drums and the like. I'm sure we've all seen Dad's Army and the thrashing drum, for example, is followed by the 1918 boat and wagon Cheshire Pride, supplied Newton War Department to carry ammunition went to Croydon Council. And that was bought by the late Stevie Neville of Saturn Hall, the well-known man of steam, certainly died some years ago, and then went to Greenville Hospital and now belongs to the family of Nantwich. There's the family acquired in early 1960, now the boat on very conventional type of vehicle. Yours is a Fowler. I'm talking about the boat in front of you. Dear me. Look, I'm confused myself without you. I'm usually confused. But anyway, alright, let's move on now to the Fowler. Perhaps those boats were particularly, what I was looking for, conservative in the small sea. We moved to the Fowler of Leeds, and we have a number of examples of Fowlers here today. This particular one with the open flywheel. Now, very often on a compound you find it fitted with a solid flywheel. The open flywheel is, of course, usually to the single-cylinder engine, less likely to, the theory being, less likely to fly apart. And also, I've heard a theory put forward, I'm never entirely sure how accurate it is, but that opens the closed flywheel less likely to frighten the horses if you're using the engine. But I can't quite see the logic of that theory myself, because basically general purpose engines out in the countryside were probably far more likely to come across horses than were the ones in town. Like, perhaps it's just that the town horses were a lot more flighty than their urban counterparts. Here, I think what we'll do is we'll get the engines parked up and then pop out and have a chat with the crews. That'll make life so much easier. Now, I was saying with Cheshire Pride, the Foden's general works principle was to be very conservative with a small C, designed as a 4.5 boiler with overtype engine, chain drive. Now we go to our 1899 Fowler. One of the early, and of course you do realise, don't you, that that is a genuine antique if you apply the 100-year rule to the definition of an antique. Now we also have one or two examples of the light steam tractor here. We'll get general for the time being. The light steam tractor came about as a result of a change in the legislation, allowing the light tractor to be driven by a single-man crew rather than the driver and steersman, as had previously been required. We also have examples of convertible engines, and Lady Hesketh there, in fact, is not only convertible but also two engines for the price of one, with a steam launch engine as well. But if you look closely, you'll notice that the front roll can be detached by unbolting the bracket, and there is mounted underneath the smoke box the first bracket for a standard front axle. So an engine of this type can be used very often for one job during the winter and another during the summer. Obviously one wouldn't tend to just change the rolls round on a whim, or indeed ideally from quick job to quick job, because it wasn't quite an involved undertaking, just to jack everything up and get everything lined up and fitted. Runs at a higher speed, but also makes much more efficient use of the steam. That's probably the greatest attraction of it, as a low pressure and high pressure cylinder, thereby taking the steam and effectively using it twice. Bear in mind, you know, having burnt a lot of coal to create that steam in the first place, you want to make the most efficient use of it possible double crank compound. We have the he's going to tell you no leads approach, so tell us a little bit about this particular Marshall, please. An example of an engine that seemed to come from a whole line of builders down the eastern side of the country.
It's a 7-horse Marshall. It's top mount, 3 speed. It's quite unusual arms, 10 inch bags.